Okay, there we go. Okay, all right. No, I'm just making sure something happened. Okay, so to state the least, the average cost that any realtor gets into before they actually start doing anything is anywhere between $6,300 and my calculation said around $7,800. So it's a little bit of a cost you're going to have to incur when you first start up in real estate. Now, that's a very broad range, but again, that all depends on where you live, as well as, well, mostly about where you live and who and what you decide to do in terms of your own efforts. We'll go over those very shortly. So the couple things that I would love to go over, just keep in mind, this is going to be a bit of a longer post, but don't worry, I'll post an infographic about this later, is that there are a couple different sections that you need to be aware of. So starting out, you need to remember that there is, let's see, you need the association fees, which could be from the local, national, MLS, the key fees, as well as the brokers. You need to think about insurance. You need to think about marketing. You need to think about your real estate licensing charges and things like that. You need to figure out your lead generation. You need to figure out your tech. And you need to go ahead and figure out how you're going to keep up with the continuing education classes. You need to think about your vehicle expenses. Your vehicle is going to be the number one thing to propel your business forward. I mean, it's not a joke when some realtors post pictures of their car and it looks like a complete mess, and it's going, "Oh, this is my office." It's a true story. So keep that in mind. And also your personal expenses, because you are going to be starting your own business essentially, and you need to be able to know what it is that you need to spend monthly to keep yourself afloat, not just your business, but also yourself as well. There's also the thing that not a lot of real estate agents know. They think they can just get into the game and just start making money like that. That's not how that goes. A lot of realtors actually, they have to, it's a lot of times they don't see their first paycheck for 6 months after they begin hardcore going into the business. So you could be waiting 6 months for you to actually get that return on your investment. Now, mind you, if and when you actually gain traction and you get going, then that's when you're definitely going to see that return on that. There is a little bit, I mean, to me, that's an expensive startup cost. Oh, hi Betsy, how you doing? So these are just a few things to keep in mind. And for anybody that's joining in right now, if I missed something or if there's something else that you would want to let everyone else watching know, feel free to comment and be like, "Hey, by the way, there's also this thing," and yada yada, all that other stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on to it. All right, starting off first, let's go ahead and have a see here. So the first couple things that I would want to go over would be the beginning bits of them. So you go ahead, let's see here. So I just pulled up the Sarasota Manatee Realtor Association thing just to serve as an example as to what costs you could be starting out with. So you see here you got some of these other ones totaling, let's see. So if you sign up right now, it's going to be a $150 application fee, $200 RASM fee, some other dues, the NAR dues, the PAC fees, MLS fees, and it adds up. It definitely adds up. So this is just to give you an idea of what you could potentially be looking at in terms of, I guess, just to start out. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is just keep in mind those other fees. And, oh, did not want to do that. Whoop. Please hold. Okay, so that's one thing that we got to be sure to keep in mind with those. The startup costs going among to here. Let's go ahead and try to get this going. I don't understand what's happening here. Okay, we are currently experiencing a malfunction. Okay, well, while I'm at it, let me just go ahead and see if I can pull this up. There we go. Okay. There we are. All right. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing. I did something dumb. So, but we will worry about that later. Um, I went ahead and did something else in terms of trying to allocate the entire fees. So, like I said, there's the association fees. Let's go ahead and delete that because I think that was included in terms of all that, especially if when we look back and reference this. Yeah, so about $1,000 if we want to go ahead and include that. So let's go ahead and go back here and just say combined. Let's see, we'll just go ahead and say 500 over here and 500 right here. So we're already looking at, what was it, almost $2,500 just for a startup. One of our other realtors with Realty Partners said that usually those, the keys, meaning like the keys that you get for the open houses and things like that, are going to run you about $14. So I just said, you know what, let's go ahead and pretend that we need 3 keys for 3 different houses and just go from there. I should go ahead and change that. Yeah, okay. All right, I think I did something dumb. My brain is not totally on track today. New Year's was especially fun, so I'm still trying to get back on track. Not sure about the rest of you all, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. But that's just to give you an idea. So I guess right over here I was thinking about, oh, let's not do that. So I think over here I was doing the yearly fees. So when it comes to January, you're going to be shelling out about $2,500. At least that's my best guess. If we don't want to include those, then it's going to be about, it's not too far the same. Another thing that we want to go ahead and consider is other types of insurance. This goes beyond your car insurance, as when you need to go ahead and think about your E&O insurance and then your health insurance. I didn't fill these in because they range so differently from state to state and from other city to city. So that's something that you would need to think about. But let's just go ahead and say that this would be, oh, I don't know. Anybody out there got a good guess on what E&O and health insurance would cost? Anybody? Yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's just go ahead and say for the sake of argument that we're looking at 1,000. Well, if I could type, that'd be great. Okay. So let's just go ahead and say for the sake of argument that's about $1,000 for both of those insurances. The other thing, though, that I want to really emphasize, because I am your neighborhood marketing specialist, Joe Faulkner, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you that marketing is going to be one of your most major expenses. So if we take a look at all that, you need to think about what kind of campaigns you're going to be running. How are you going to get yourself out there? What are you going to do to make yourself known and to get yourself in front of as many people as possible? PPC stands for pay-per-click, so those are things like Google AdWords, Bing Ads, and DuckDuckGo, things like that. So that's something to consider within your own marketing plan. Now, I guess you could say that I'm a major social media fan, of course. You usually see me running around in the groups and commenting on things like that, but a pay-per-click is going to be a good strategy, especially if you're just starting out. Again, that differs greatly on your SEO work, so that's something that you need to think about and when you're doing the pay-per-click, because you don't want to be going up against these big guys that have the terms of, say, real estate or real estate marketing or any one of those major keywords. I'll go ahead and post some links later on about some SEO tools that you can use that would help you get the most out of your pay-per-click ads. And then again, we got social media ads over here, so that's things like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if you want to do LinkedIn, among many other things. Again, all those just depend on your audience and who you're trying to get. I have experience with LinkedIn ads, and I don't know how many people have had success with this, but if you have, please comment below. I would love to speak with you. But that you have to think about social media in one capacity or another. I actually got in a conversation with someone the other day on one of the real estate groups where, if you refer back to the talk that I had back about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I stated that 33% of first-time home buyers dominated the market back when the November existing home sales report came out. So 33% of those people, which average about the age of 32, are going to be hopping around on social media, Instagram more specifically. So Instagram is going to be the platform that I recommend that you go after, mostly because that's where people around my age group are going to be going, especially with the Facebook fallout and their privacy concerns. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not knocking Facebook completely. All that I'm saying is that you might want to have a more balanced approach. So content marketing, this is actually going to be one thing, well, the one thing that you have to keep in mind when you have your own website. When you have your own website, you need to be sure to keep stocking it with different kinds of content. If you don't, Google will look at that and call your website dead, and it will not list it on the higher or the first or second or even third page of the search results. We all know you want to be on the first page, but second page can work just as well. But the best way to get on the first page is to keep doling out different types of content, different news that you have, different guides, different ebooks, or different types of advice, different videos. It's all about how much content you can shove out there for other people to view, and that right there is going to be very important. I referenced a book last week that I'm reading. It's called Growth Hacker Marketing. I will show you this again. If you all have not seen it, it's actually very interesting and very important thing to go ahead and do. So this is going to be invaluable when you're going to be doing a content marketing strategy. Again, content marketing is going to be the best thing that you can do for you and your own business. That establishes your credibility online, and then it goes ahead and puts you in front of people that are going to get you leads, that are going to get you other referrals, things like that, because you've established yourself as a resource. Moving right along. So again, you got to think about your management. You have to think about social media management. How do you plan on doing all those things? How do you plan on doing participation with your social media? Do you plan on using bots? Do you plan on actually spending about 30 minutes each day just participating with other people online? This is something that you have to go ahead and think about as well. If you don't think about how you're going to be participating in social media, then you might as well just not have social media in the first place. If you just have a page and you're going to call it quits, that's going to count against you. Again, this goes back to the content marketing strategy of you putting out content for other people to think about. I know that there are some services out there. I think one of them was Elf Tree or something like that. One of our other realtors is giving it a go, and she was saying that they charge her some amount to go ahead and do postings, to respond to comments and things like that. You could go ahead and hire, or you can go ahead and outsource that to anyone that you think would be best, and go from there. That's the same thing with curation as well. Content curation, what that means is that you are essentially picking on content that's related to what it is that you do, and you're pushing that out there for other people to see. You're essentially sharing other people's content. What that does is that also establishes your credibility and marks you down for participation. Be careful though when you do participate with social media, is that sometimes the algorithms mistake you as a bot and then they might shut you down. That's something that you might want to consider if you're doing all that. Your website, this is going to be very, very important. Your website is it's not exactly a lead generation tool so much as it is your yellow page, so to say, on the internet. It's more to state that you are tech savvy, that you have an internet presence, and that matters a lot to those 33% home buyers that are within the market. So that's a use of being able to use technology is going to work well in your favor, and having that website, having something that, say, looks like this. Hold on. So having something that looks like this is going to work in your favor. So having a very responsive and interactive website, having things that reflect your own specialty. Now this right here is a WordPress-based site. They're very easy to ramp up. They're very easy to construct. And if you use a drag and drop builder or anything like that, this right here would only take you about it would take you a little while. I'm not going to lie. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's nothing that you can't handle. if you want to hire someone to make a website for you that's going to be more customized for what you want to do, go ahead and go for it. That's only going to assist you down the road, but do be sure to include that in terms of your cost of other things like that. I have a friend actually who creates websites for a living, and he normally charges about $750 to create one. But that's not bad. A lot of times, sometimes these websites can cost you up to $5,000. It just really depends on what kind of specialty you want, how easy you want it to be, and things like that. Email marketing is very important as well. There's a lot of free programs out there that you can use. MailChimp is one that I personally love. I use that one constantly. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to make. It's easy to create other emails. And it's totally free for people for under 2,000 subscribers, which is immensely helpful to people that have a small business and don't want to spend a huge amount of money on just email marketing. I highly suggest email marketing because it's a great way to keep in touch with your sphere of influence. And if you send out a monthly email, nothing like weekly or daily or enough to get on their nerves or anything like that, but just enough to be like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still doing things. I'm still intrigued to be in your market. And if you know anybody that is in need of a realtor, hey, what's up? I'm right here. That's going to help you a lot to be kept in mind in front of people so they think of you and only you when you actually start to create your own business. Your sphere of influence is going to be of utmost importance, and that's why you want to employ email marketing. So out of the ones that I suggest right here, I would say go with a content strategy, email strategy, website, and then definitely remarketing. For those of you that don't know what remarketing is it's when an ad pops up like it trails you around. So let's say, for example, let me see here. You'll normally see these on different types of websites. So let's say, no, those are all, I'll go over these in a minute. But let's just say that, what's a website that I can use? Give me a moment. So let's say, there we go. This right here is a content curator. One of the things that I use, I continually use it on my Twitter account. I don't use Scoopit, I use paper.ly, and I find it immensely helpful to keeping people up to date on what's going on in the real estate market. So that's the reason why I use that. Scoopit's okay, but see, this thing was created so long ago, and it's been less than impressive. So just be careful which content curator that you do use. So a lot of these I saw last month. I'm not sure what their story is or what's going on with that, but that's, like I said, it's fine. I mean, it gets the job done. And if you want to just push out something, then Scoopit might be your perfect way to go. But paper.li, I'm sorry, not ly. But this is the site that I use, and it's completely free. You can use it to push it on just about anything. Like I said, I use mine for Twitter, but you can got all these different ones. And this just helps to keep yourself in front of everybody that is on your Twitter feed or on your Facebook or RSS, things like that. Again, it's just a quick little thing, and this right here doesn't really. It just, like I said, it keeps you in front of people's eyes. So you don't have to read constantly. I read constantly, but that's because I have to. I have to be on the know on what everybody is doing. But paper.li is a good site. It's great to go ahead and put that on automatic. And it's one of those set it and forget it type things. Let's go ahead. Nope, I did the wrong one. So let's go back to our Excel sheet. Okay. So we already went over email, remarketing. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally went off on a tangent. But suppose that there was an ad that was, let's go ahead and move this over just a smidge. So suppose over here, like right over here, there would be a banner ad of some sort. And a lot of times what websites do is that they tag a cookie on your ISP address. And I know this sounds like gibberish to a lot of you. Hey, Susan, how's it going? And I know that, well, they tag it in you, and then once you have that cookie on your browser, then they go ahead and push their ads, and it would show up right here. Like, say you went to, I don't know, say you went to anntaylor.com and you looked at a shirt, but then you decided against it. That same shirt would show up right here, and it would say, hey, how's it going? We still have the shirt, and it's a good shirt, and it's going on sale soon. Just letting you know. That's what retargeting is. Retargeting is immensely, immensely helpful. It pretty much keeps everyone on the top of their mind. That's what is it? It takes about 5 to 7 touches before anybody makes a decision, especially regarding their real estate. And that's where you want to be keeping up with these people. It's more than just CRM. It's more about just the automatic emails. It's about how you're targeting them, how you're addressing them, how you're keeping on top of their mind, which is immensely important. To anybody that's just starting out, there's licensing. Of course, that's only natural, but then again, nobody really thinks about how much the exam fees are going to be, how much fingerprinting is, the background check, and the license itself. So and that's not including the class as well. So let's go ahead and just add, like the RE class itself, which I've seen on 360 Trading for $76, and then I've also seen on Groupon and a few other different sites for around the neighborhood of $100. So let's go ahead and just say that the class itself is $100, and that should be updated. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and update that. Okay, so this is something that the newbies need to keep in mind, is that there's a lot for the startup as well, which could cost up to $400. If you can handle that expense, then go for it. Another thing that you need to consider is how you're going to do lead generation. There's passive lead generation and active lead generation. So there are two examples right there. Passive lead generation would be that you pay someone and then they'll ship you the leads themselves. So Zillow and Redfin are two examples of that. I've heard of people getting charged like $500 a month for something like that, or $150, some astronomical amount that is absolutely ludicrous in my opinion. But that all just depends on where you are, what market you're in, and what your competition is like. Then there's the active lead gen, where you're intentionally going to different events. So you're going to networking events wherein you could buy a drink or buy an appetizer or anything like that. If you reference something that I did, oh gosh, I want to say it was back in September or August, there was another live video that I did that references how to use Meetup to your marketing advantage. If you're not going to networking events and putting yourself out there and widening your sphere of influence, you're making a very, very big mistake. And I would highly suggest that your New Year's resolution should not be, oh, I'm going to lose 30 pounds or anything like that. Your resolution should be, I'm going to meet at least 10 new people this month, or I'm going to meet 10 new people for coffee. And you don't even have to sell them anything when you're out there. Just have a conversation. I mean, a lot of people are looking for that connection. And if you can connect with people on a basic level, you're 10 steps ahead of everybody else that's just sitting at home on the computer waiting for these passive leads to come on in, which a lot of people have stated that are barely even worth it. So, I mean, sometimes they're worth it, sometimes they're not. You're going to have to ask around other realtors to see what their opinion is. Something else to keep in mind is your tech. You need to figure out your technology. You need to figure out your CRM, which, if you don't know, newbies, it means customer relations management. Some of the ones that I saw ran about $65 a month. Just for a decent one. The lowest ones that I saw were about $30, but the reviews that I read did not state that it was a good thing. So you get what you pay for. Bots. So what I mean by bots is that, I'll go ahead and reference this. So this is one little thing that I found that Neil Patel, he is an SEO expert that's online. He's a great person. If you ever need help with SEO, he puts it in plain English, what you need to do, how to go about it, and how best to operate it. But Ninja Pinner right over here, it's a different type of software. It's a bot, essentially. So a bot is when it's pretty much an algorithm or a program that's going to go around and do things for you. If you look up here, hold on, I'll show you. I'll let you in on a little secret. You see this right here? This little thing right here is my little Instagram bot. So if we go ahead and click on that, there's a series of hashtags that I told this bot to hunt down and like. So it's actually very handy, and it just goes around and likes certain photos that you go ahead and put in this other hashtag. If you have an Instagram, it will do this automatically for you until you hit your designated number. The free version of this only has about 700 likes on any one given day. But yeah, but this thing has been really quite helpful in terms of getting more followers, more likes, more participation, things like that. So that is my little secret on what to do. This thing is called Everliker. I will go ahead and post that in the comments later as well, and then within the blog posts I will be doing later as well. Bots can be extremely helpful in terms of getting awareness out there. For these bots over here, these are going to be, I think the reason why they charge is because it's a little bit more accurate, and it doesn't, okay, so the thing about bots though is that they kind of operate in a gray area. Sometimes Google can see them as, well, Google doesn't like them too much, so you have to be careful with how you use them. I think they're immensely helpful, but it's just, you got to watch it and make sure that you don't overuse it. A lot of the algorithms that are within these social media platforms are getting more and more clever by the day. So these bots over here could do for a little while for 40 bucks, but you have to be careful on how long that it lasts and what you're going to do about it. But no, these have been, I'm yet to try any of these myself, but Mr. Patel has often sang the praises of Ninja Pinner and the like, so that's something to keep in mind as well when you don't have or don't want to spend 3 hours a day just running around on any other social media platforms. Let's have a look-see here. No, we'll get to that to the end. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up that Excel sheet again. So that's why I said, yeah, $80 for the bots if you just want to use the Instagram one as well as the Pinterest one. Pinterest, I believe, it's not really my thing, so I don't participate on it all too often. But there are people out there that love it to death. I mean, they got great photos on there, and I love the way that a lot of graphics are done. It's very visual. And I think Pinterest would be a great thing for any and all realtors to post their listings, to share their content, and to create just an eye-catching, post out there for other people to reference. Let's see here. Devices. So what I mean by devices is that suppose, well, for example, it might be best for you to get a 2-in-1 computer. It might be best for you to invest in a tablet of some sort, a new cell phone. This is going to be your business, and you need to be running it accordingly. And if you don't use the best tools, then chances are you will not be the best. Software that's various different programs that you use on your computer, like say QuickBooks or TurboTax or anything like that, to do all the accounting work for you. I just put in 300 because let's face it, TurboTax as well as QuickBooks are they're not the cheapest of softwares. Moving right along, continuing education. Yes, realtor newbie agents. This is very important for you to do because the laws change, the tax code changes, anything can change in the terms of real estate. If it's associated with the economy in any way, it's going to change. So that's when you need to think about how you're going to progress forward in terms of your own personal development. So training, conferences, and other development, I pin that at around $500 because let's face it, conferences are not cheap either. You have to consider the lodgings, you have to consider your food, the expense to get into the event, things like that. So then we go on to the mentorship and the CE classes. The mentorship, one person that quoted me said that they charge around $100 an hour for a mentorship. And I'm thinking, okay, so let's go ahead and do the math here. This is going to be about, so say I see my mentor once a week for this month. So that would total me about $400. And then CE classes, those are going to be for the continuing education classes. This is something that you have to keep up with every year. If you don't fulfill a certain amount of hours, you will not be able to renew your license. Yes, it is a thing, and yes, you need to stay on top of it. Here's the thing, though. If you go onto Eventbrite, chances are you will likely find free events that can be used for continuing education in real estate. So let's go ahead and give this a go. So, okay, you got a bunch of different webinars, real estate investments. This looks interesting. What is this? Lead distribution platform. Oh, okay, it's not one of those flipping houses things. Okay, let's go ahead and search for continuing education. Okay. So, all right, let's not do that. Continuing education, Let's go ahead and Google this really quick. Because what I remember when I was working for a real estate newspaper over in San Antonio, Texas, there were a bunch of builders that would often advertise for their events. They would say, oh, we're having a free continuing education class, and all you have to do is show up for 3 hours, we feed you, and then you have to hear our pitch about KB Home or whatever builder that was putting on the event. So sometimes you can find them for free if you are following any of the builders. So around here, there could be Pulte Homes, there could be KB. There's a whole different slew of them that could be offering these free CE classes just to get you in so they could pitch you. If all you have to do is sit through a pitch, I would think that's more than that's more than worth it in my opinion. So again, if you're looking for free CE classes, I'm sure that you can find them. So okay, Thrive Real Estate. I remember reading about these guys. They seem pretty legit. They got a lot going on for them. So this might be something for you to check out. And also this is a great resource for seeing how a website is supposed to look. So just throwing that out there. And as you can see, we can go ahead and, oh, they don't have anything in Florida. Oh, okay, well. So again, you can find these for free. You don't have to pay for them. I think that is immensely wonderful. I don't like paying for everything, and if I could get it for free, I am going to do it. I don't know about you. If you like to pay for things, then I guess that's on you, and I'm not going to stand in the way of your happiness. Let's see, what else do I want to go over with you? Excuse me. Another thing that to keep in mind, newbies, is you need to think about your vehicle expenses. You need to think about your vehicle insurance. You need to think about gas and maintenance and all these other things that are associated with having a car. Sorry. But that's something that you have to keep in mind. And your car does count as a business expense, so you can write it off on your taxes. I hope, and if you don't, I apologize for being wrong. But you have to keep these expenses in mind. Going on to personal expenses then, you have to think about what are you spending from the money that you're getting. So again, just keep that in mind. These are going to be more or less monthly costs. Yeah, so this is going to be monthly costs. This is going to be a one-time thing. So let's go ahead and just tally all that up when our grand total is going to be around 10 grand. That's out of my own calculations. This is for the Sarasota Manatee area. Yes, I know that is a really high number, but that's just something to keep in mind, and that's not excluding the 3 to 6 months, 6 months of reserves that you have to keep as well, because it's going to be about 6 months before you start seeing a check. It's all part of doing the business. And there was another realtor that is with us at Realty Partners over here, I believe Joanna Morris, who's over in the Citrus County. Yeah, she's over in Citrus County, I believe. She was saying that sometimes it could be a month or two before you even see that check from a closing. There's a whole different ball game going on there, and this is a very in-depth and involved type of transaction. And after all, we're talking about homes here. This is one of the biggest purchases anybody makes within their life. So that was just my number right here, was 9,200. If we go on to HubSpot over here, they had a little bit of a different number. Their number was around 6,300. So these were their numbers over here, 3 to 900 for pre-licensing education, all this for your post-licensing testing fees. So pretty much the same thing that I was saying, would be useful to know and to keep in mind when you're starting your real estate business. So this right here, off of Real Estate Express, helps you to understand what all there is involved. And if you don't understand what all is involved, then you can't prepare properly. Yes, it's going to be a little bit of a price tag for anybody to start it up, but if you can manage it properly and you can do it well and stick with it and be disciplined and not think about, oh gosh, I'm not making any money, what am I going to do? Oh God, whatever you do, don't push the panic button. Do not push the panic button. Panicking is not going to do anything for you but make you panic and make you have anxiety and turn you into a terrible person. Well, that's a lie. I shouldn't say that. There are plenty of people who have it. They're wonderful people. But the whole thing about it is that you don't let that anxiety get the best of you. You have to be prepared. If you're prepared, then that won't happen. It's kind of a superpower for a realtor when you really think about it. If you budget properly, and if you keep that in mind and stay disciplined throughout your first year, and you have another source of income to subsidize what you're doing, then it could work well for you. There was another video that our CEO, Thomas Hyman, did about Ubering as a realtor. And honestly, that is a really great idea, because you're getting in front of plenty of people, you're talking with many, many, many of them, and a lot of times those people might need your name because they're either A, new to the area, or B, they're vacationing and they might think about getting a home around here. So that's something to keep in mind maybe when you're first starting out. You're going to have to be hustling for that first year, but if you do it right, it's going to pay off. And that's what a lot of people often forget, especially after the 2-year mark. They don't give it the first year to go ahead and set that up, and then the next year to go ahead and get that exponential curve going. But you have to plan first, and you have to know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't know what you're getting yourself into, then it's only going to result in failure further down the road. So again, that's something to keep in mind as well. Okay, so where are we at? We're at 38 minutes. Okay, well, I believe that's about all I have to say about first-time startup real estate costs. I understand this was also a little bit of a long video, but I appreciate you all visiting and sticking around and sharing this with your other real estate friends or those who are thinking about getting into real estate. As long as people understand what all is involved, then they could succeed as well. And that's where you can come in as well. As an established realtor, you can go ahead and share this video with the new ones or the newbies that you see coming in, saying this is what it's going to take for you to succeed later. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm just putting this out there so you have a resource and you know what's going on, so then you can prepare yourself for better success. Well, again, I think that's all I have for today. Again, I appreciate you sticking around. And if you have any further comments, questions, concerns, insults, feel free to message me or get in touch with me by writing on my wall at Joe Faulkner on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter at Joe Realty Partner, and various other social medias. Feel free to use Instagram and all that jazz. Yeah, so if you have any other questions, again, I look forward to hearing from you, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful 2019. And just a little side note before I go. For this January in 2019, this is going to be the month of the new agent, where every week I will go ahead and post something that can be shared with new agents, or will give you, the established agent, a crash course on maybe something that you may have forgotten, or maybe something that you may have overlooked. That's what the month of January will be focusing on, is the new agent. So we're calling it New Year, New Agent, just to balance things out. If you have any suggestions for any topics or anything that I can go ahead and research out for you, give me a holler. I will be more than happy to hear from you. All right, everybody, thanks again. I will see you next week.